Hi there, welcome to Custom Widget Development. In this section, we're going to take a look at how you can create your own custom widgets in the ArcGIS API 4 for JavaScript. First off, we're going to take a look deeper into decorators that are provided for the accessor to extend accessor in the JavaScript API because the widgets still do extend accessor. And there's actually another decorator specific to the custom widget development in the JavaScript API. Then we're going to look at how to write your own custom widget from scratch in the API and some of the details provided with that. And then we're also going to look at how you can use a ViewModel for your own custom widget development. So first off in this video, let's take a look at decorators. In this video, we're going to look at how you would use the decorators for your own custom widgets. We're also going to look at JSX and how JSX is used to write your widgets and how you would handle events inside the JSX for your own custom widget development. All right, so first off, let's take a look at some of the decorators that are provided with the API to write your own custom widgets. We've already looked at the property decorator and the subclass decorator for accessor, and we looked at the declared helper to help us extend classes. We're also going to look at alias of decorator when we're building our own widgets. And it's not specific to building widgets, but you probably will use it much more in custom widget development than you would in some other use case to extend accessor. There is one decorator that is specific to widgets, and you'll find that under Esri Widget Support Widget, and that is the Renderable Decorator, which we'll take a look at in a moment. So first off, let's look at how we extend a widget. We want to create a class that's going to extend a base class called Widget. And you'll find that base class inside of Esri Widgets Widget. This base class extends accessor, but it's also got other properties and functions associated with it that are part of the widget framework provided with the JavaScript API. Under the hood, the JavaScript API uses Maquette.js, which is a virtual DOM library to help you build widgets. So this widget base class wraps a lot of those Maquette.js functionality and wiring so you don't have to worry about it. Now we can see here that we're using this alias of decorator over this count property. What that means is that we're saying that the summary.count property is actually an alias for ViewModel.count. And ViewModel is another property inside of the summary widget. So it's actually going to be summary.viewModel.count is equal to summary.count. You'll also notice that we're using this renderable decorator over the count property. In that case, what we are saying is that when this count property changes, we need to re-render the widget on our page. And that's because this count property is going to represent what is visually shown on the page. Now, if we look at the actual widget that we're building, it's this little chart widget down here. And as I start to move around, the count property gets updated for this number here. Right now it's 81. If I move it around, it now becomes 115. So whenever the count property changes, we need to update what's displayed in the widget on the page. So those are the actual decorators that are provided with the API to help you build your widgets. And out of curiosity, if you want to see the renderable decorator here, when the count property gets updated and needs to re-render, it's going to re-render this render function here. Now let's take a look at the actual render method that's being run. Let's not worry too much about these helper methods here. We'll take a look at those a little further. What we want to see is this code here, which may look like HTML inside of your TypeScript. However, this is actually called JSX. Now this code here gets converted into something that's used by the browser. If we look at the output JavaScript, you can see here that actually is going to create a function called JSXFactory.createElement. And it's going to call a string called div, saying that it wants to create a div element. The second argument is for the classes or other properties associated with that element. And the third argument is going to be any child elements that you might have inside of this particular element. It's much easier to be able to write your structure of your widget in JSX than to write it as functions. However, a lot of people still do like to write their virtual DOM in what's called hyperscript, which is what we just looked at when you use the create element method. But for the JavaScript API, it's preferred that you actually use JSX to build out the structure of your applications. Now, in this JSX, you may be wondering, how do you handle click events or on-change events or any other type of events normally associated with HTML? Since this is actually going to be a virtual DOM, how does that work? What you can do is just on any element in your widget, you can put something like the onClick method, or this could be onChange, onFocus, and so on. And you want to put a function inside these curly brackets here that's on your widget. In this case, it's going to be this.goHome. Now, if I look at goHome is just a function, and that function is actually an alias of function on my home view model. And all that's going to do is when I click on the widget, it's going to go back to the initial view of my map when I start my application. So I can zoom all the way out over here, click on it again, and it goes back to where I was when I started. That's how you can handle click events or any other type of events normally associated with DOM elements inside the virtual DOM that you write in your JSX for your custom widget. Let's look at another helper method provided for building widgets, and that's going to be this join function. This join function will let you combine multiple classes together when you're providing a class to your widget. Let's take, for example, the CSS.column class, which is what each of these columns in my chart is using. Now, each chart is going to be a different color. So I want to combine that with the color associated with that chart. So in this case, I want red, I want blue, I want yellow, and I want purple. If I did not use this join method to combine these two classes together, I would need to create a different CSS for each column. I need a CSS red column, a blue column, yellow column, purple column. It's much easier to keep the CSS separated and then combine them as needed when I'm building my application. And if you're wondering where the CSS.column and CSS.colors are coming from, you come to the very top here, and it's just a constant that I've declared at the very top of my application here. And I've got base, I've got container, column, and so on, a few more. These are just the strings for the classes used in my application.